Hello, my name is Martin Grasser from ManRepeat. We are a studio that makes all types of things. We are most interested in type design and building tools for typographic abstraction. We are located in Northern California, but we collaborate with people from around the world. And today I'll be talking about typography as abstraction. I wanted to start with some context and chat a bit about how some of these ideas came to be. We agree that the symbol on the left represents the sound T, but you only have to look as far as another language to realize that this is only an agreement. So we start by recognizing that all type is abstract. I was also inspired by a random talk, much like this one by Paul Fry on linguistics, specifically about Russian formalism. He spoke about the ideas that Victor Shklovsky and Roman Jakobson put forth, promoting the specificity and the autonomy of poetic language and literature. And what I took that to mean was that form alone was enough. We can find meaning in form even if it doesn't communicate with us the way that we're used to with letters. And finally, I was inspired by this idea that art is good for people and that type can be a way into understanding or interacting with art and abstraction. So often people need to experience something to begin to relate to it and to understand it. Type can offer that. It encourages people to interact. Today, type truly is everywhere, and for the first time, the public has access. They are all using it all the time in interesting, expressive ways. We send countless text messages to each other. We Google things we want to learn about. We write papers and capture our thoughts in word processing software. And we share our life and things we love on social media. This explosion of accessible digital typography has led to the creation of a user-driven typographic vernacular. Here we see Impact, a sans serif designed by Jeffrey Lee in 1965, well before the advent of personal computing. Today, it has become ubiquitous in a digital context for its use in memes. In 2017, Ryan Gosling hosted SNL and performed in a sketch making fun of papyrus. Regardless of your thought on the font, the idea of SNL running a sketch about typography would have been a non-starter in the past, whereas now type occupies enough space and culture that this kind of thing can make sense. And here we see Kanye getting emotional over fonts and of course using type to express that, in this case via Twitter. On the professional side of things, type designers have created fonts designed to respond to and function in these digital contexts. Adrian Frutiger's OCR-A and OCR-B, drawn in 1968, adhere to the standardized optical character recognition guidelines. So it's machine readable, but also legible to the human eye. OCR-A is a bit more extreme, whereas OCR-B is an attempt at something closer to a, quote, normal font. Chicago by Susan Kerr was a system font on early Apple computers. Its style informed by screen resolution constraints, it became an important part of Apple's identity, and even the first iPods used Chicago. And of course, Emigre were really pioneers of digital type design and kind of mashed up traditional typographic forms with dot matrix and bitmap digital vernacular. This is matrix where you can really see that collision come together. And we couldn't resist either. In 2018, Zrinka Basic and I designed 188 Sans, a grotesque that moves between resolutions. The function of these responses has always been a combination of technology, legibility, and communication. Even today, we see a mixture forming that utilizes technology towards efficiency. I'm on my way home. Great, thumbs up. But we're interested in something different, typography as abstraction and the creation of digital tools to facilitate this exploration. The first project we want to share with you today is the color dot font. The color dot font is as simple as it sounds. A typeface composed entirely of colored circles. Here is a look at the simple mapping. Each letter gets a corresponding color dot. And when you start translating, the results are simple, graphic, and interesting and intriguing. And we were really interested to see what this looked like when we applied scale. So we built a browser plugin that sets the default typeface to the dot font. Arsh, who will join me on the Q&A, will be able to answer any questions about the build of the plugin. When you turn the plugin on, it translates all text into color dots wherever you go on the internet. Here we see the Google homepage, abstracted yet totally recognizable. Here, obviously, the Craigslist homepage set in the color dot font. And something that's interesting about this, and that's interesting about the dot font in general, is how recognizable a lot of things are, even when you remove the language. Craigslist as a site is almost totally composed of language, but you recognize it even when the language is subtracted. There's a structural element to the site that makes it a dead giveaway. So we have this structure that becomes apparent when you see the site set in the dot font, and you probably wouldn't register that same structure when you can read the website. In that way, the abstraction makes things which were invisible visible. Same thing with a baseball box score. There's a structural construct here that if you're a baseball fan, you know this is a baseball box score. You might not know how many RBIs the cleanup hitter had or which pitcher pitched which innings, but you know that you're looking at a box score. And finally, here's the homepage for Domino's Pizza, and you see a whole different kind of structure, the loud, chaotic vernacular of advertising. We really love seeing the dots with that extreme drop shadow in the pricing here. It's interesting to see the CSS styles applied to the dots so dramatically. And while the previous examples have all been digital, in the interest of seeing the font in a physical context, we printed up some copies of the October 10th, 2019 issue of the New York Times, set entirely in the dot font. No images, just paper and colored dots. In this image, you can see the gaps of where the pictures would have gone and some of the other components the Times uses. Headlines, captions, body copy, a pull quote centered in line with the columns, and also rules separating the various articles and sections. And here's a portion of the back page, which was a weather chart and financial information. With all these projects, we really want to not just entertain ourselves, but to see how other people use the tools also. If you find any of this interesting or it resonates with you, you can download the dot font and the dot font plugin from our website at andrepeat.com. The second project we want to share with you is the Abstract Type Generator. This tool enables users to create typefaces by manipulating a number of parameters. The Type Generator project essentially picks up where the dot font left off. We thought if type can be colored circles, what else can it be? And the answer is really anything. So we constructed a tool that allows users to pretty much make any kind of abstract typography that they can imagine. This level of participation was super exciting to us, and the real-time feedback between the slider on the left and the alphabet on the right and whatever a user typed in the center, it felt like something that would get people interested enough to give it a try. Visitors can control anything from the color in a variety of ways to size, tilt, and even resolution. And where the dot font was interesting in large part when set in various contexts, this project is less dependent on context. This is more about the visitor just making type as out there and as graphic and as abstract as possible. This project was built in collaboration with Arsh and Santi, who will be on the Q&A portion and can answer any questions about the build. The first set of parameters deals mainly in color. This is where our focus was on the dot font, so that's kind of where this starts. You can control the hue of the typeface you create, as well as the saturation, and finally the lightness. We love the way this looks as it dances around and the color shifts. Following that, there are some controls built in to deal with the form of the geometric shape. So the first of these is size. You can scale the letter forms up and down as you want and have them in a different range of sizes. You can make them all small or large, for example, or create a range where the user sets the extremes. And there's tilt. If you're controlling polygons, you can alter their angle. And the side section gives you the option of choosing circular forms or polygons with a range of shapes available, triangles, squares, pentagons, and so on. And the resolution is another interesting tool you can use to change the look of your font, which generates even more interesting results for words, sentences, and paragraphs. Here we see the quick brown fox text laid out, justified left, and we're pulling the resolution down. We love the ripple effect. The letters shift the words shift the sentence, and the shape of the communication is altered. And finally, the paragraph settings allows you to arrange your type in a number of ways. Here we see left justified and of course centered, and right justified are also available. We played with vertical justification, allowing users to set type from top down, bottom up, or vertically center their type. We also reimagined what a sentence could be when it was set in a circle. If we can abstract a letter, it felt right to push on words, sentences, and paragraphs. And finally, we look at typeset in Z-space, layering letters on top of each other from back to front. This is an example that shows a sentence typed in Z-space with the resolution pushed all the way down. It's great to see the way the letters affect each other as they pile up. And this shows you what you can build. Here's an example of a typeface we built on the Abstract Type Generator, downloaded and added to our font book. As with the color dot font, if this is interesting to you, please feel free to visit our website at andrepeat.com and give it a try. As for what's next, we have some pretty interesting things going. Upcoming projects include experimenting with transforming images into typeface and type into sounds. We thank you kindly for your time. If you need more information or wish to sign up for our mailing list, please visit AndRepeat, or if you want to say hi or have a specific question, feel free to email us at info@andrepeat.com. Thank you.